What's going on, people? Tony here from wonderful Manhattan, and today I'm bringing you a little bit of a preview of Resident Evil 7. So I played this game before. I played the demo, the first one that came out after E3. Then I played it VR. You guys saw a little bit of a write-up I did on that. And, I'm going to tell you right now, I was still on the fence about this game because I'll be honest, I'm a punk when it comes to horror games and shit, But what I played today changed my mind completely. So right now, I'm gonna show you an interview I did with some of the guys from Capcom, and then after that, I'm gonna give you my impression. So check it out. When I was playing the first demo, I was like, man, if I had a shotgun, I would feel good. But even here, it's like the guns don't really mean much. They keep them away for a little bit, right? But
it's not like a cure-all,
but I like that too,
Yeah, in some ways it's like the original Resident Evil. It's like you don't have to kill everything. You may not want to kill everything.
Probably can't literally kill everything with all the resources that you get. You gotta choose.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess I could just ask you some just other general stuff. What was do you guys know what the main driving force behind this game was? Because obviously Resident Evil had gone down a certain path over the decades. What made the developers you know what? Let's start pretty much completely from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, the game's always sort of been about innovating and be sort of just on the cutting edge of stuff. RE 1 through 3, even though you look back now and characters are made of 10 different triangles. Back in the day, that was the hottest stuff. That was the game that looked super good. The dynamic, the camera angles that were static right there, just the different things that they were trying at that time were really cool and different. Then they went to RE4, which was really sort of designed or just change the way shooters happen now. So it's that over-the-shoulder perspective, pinpoint aiming and stuff like that. Then with 5 and 6, adding on top of that, doing co-op and different storylines and really just expanding the universe more. But it's the 20th anniversary of RE this year. What we wanted to do is instead of continuing that and kind of going in the more action route, we've heard people really wanting us to sort of go back to what we've been doing originally, what made RE cool to begin with, and that's the survival horror aspect. But we're not, it's not just we're making a slow-paced survival horror game. It's also still pushing things forward. So the first-person perspective, that's the first time in a mainline RE game that we're doing that. Like she mentioned, you're not going to be playing as Leon. So the objective of first person is not only to give you that sort of perspective, but also make the character feel like it could be you. Yeah. If you're armed to the teeth, it's not going to be scary when you know that you've got a huge grenade launcher with acid rounds and stuff like that ready to go. It's you're scared of your witch because it could be you in that mansion. But then also other stuff as well. It's on top of first person, VR really adds to that as well. But then there's tons of stuff. You saw a little bit of a snippet today, but there's definitely more to be seen. And it's exciting. The demo is one thing. It's it's kind of like a teaser. That's why you even call it the teaser beginning hour.
Yeah.
But as you saw today, it's not just walking around and solving puzzles. There's stuff chasing you. It's super intense. You get tons of different weapons, but not always immediately. And there's just lots. It's deep. And we're excited to finally get people to play it.
Yeah, no, it's great. I was saying, at first I was I don't know if I'm gonna buy this just because I played Outlast, where the whole game you're just hiding in a closet trying not to get seen. This one, you're obviously you're not super powered or anything, but you still have to be proactive with enemies. So I do like that. There's more to it, but just going back to VR, there was a game built from for VR from the beginning. Was that always in the cards? Hey, we got to make this game viable for VR as well.
So the game first was a first-person perspective game first. We really wanted to focus on that, but then obviously when you see, we work with tons of different partners, Sony being one of them. They talked to us about having this VR hardware coming out, and obviously the first-person game that's basically like immediate dovetail. We wanted to go that route and have that available. And it's super exciting to be sort of the there's tons of demos and experiences, things that are an hour or two long-ish.
Yeah.
But we're really the first mainline, especially on PlayStation, console style, full AAA length game that you can play in VR or not in VR. So it's cool.
But it's not the only way to play. I mean, the game's also coming out on Xbox One and PC, so the game is made and it's perfectly fun to play without it. It's just kind of a cool option to have to get that more immersive feeling. And you can play as much or as little as you want in VR because it is still pretty new and everybody has different comfort levels. You can play an hour in VR, save it, switch back to non-VR.
Yeah.
You can play 5 hours. You can play as much as you want. So it's built with flexibility in mind.
Yeah. Is there any kind of pressure? Because like you said, this is the first
big AAA VR game. Like VR right now is a little bit kind of wobbly. Like hasn't really been sold to the masses yet. Do you think this game has the potential to go, hey, this is what VR could do for you and gaming?
We've got Resident Evil is a huge brand. Like I mentioned, it's our 20th anniversary. We've got the game coming out. We've got the movie coming out around the same time as well. And we've really been cognizant of the VR stuff. I mean, we're not perfect at it yet, and we've been taking feedback. We announced, before even Resident Evil 7 was announced, we put out Kitchen as like a tech
that's right.
The secretly sort of a test bed to like really understand how people reacted to VR. It was a little bit different experience. You're not running and shooting and getting turned around all the time. You're mostly seated during that. But we took feedback from that. We took feedback from the E3 demo where it was a little bit more, you're walking around and doing kind of the stuff you're doing here today, and going back and adding different options in. Some people we've found that smooth turning with the VR headset is one thing that doesn't really get to them because they're moving right with their stick and left with their head, and sometimes it doesn't jive for them. So we've added in different camera options where instead of just doing smooth, you'll do angle, sensitivity in terms of how fast that turns, field of view stuff. So there's options in there to help make everyone's experience a little bit better depending on how you play and how you consume that stuff.
Yeah, and then as far as the survival horror goes, because this game, it seems like it's styled at like a modern survival horror game, but it's also doing something new. So what new things are you bringing to the genre now?
I mean, so we really want to we're leveraging that classic horror stuff. So very much now you can see it's I hate to use the word cinematic, but it is it's easy to consume. In terms of it's a very digestible story. It's still in the Resident Evil canon, so it's technically the farthest down the line. It's after RE6, but it's in its own bubble. So someone who hasn't played too, you don't need to understand who Leon is, who Chris is, all these other guys. The story's on its own. So I think having a different type of horror too, where it's really kind of going for these more intimate encounters. You're not going to be facing hordes of zombies like Dead Rising. It's very much more intimate. So, you have a smaller amount of enemies. You have your mold dead, you have your family members. Obviously, there's different stuff coming, but and then focus on just like family and relationships too as well. You have the Baker family who are their own thing, and they're all screwed up, and you'll figure out what they're about. But then the relationship between you and Mia and what that's about, it all kind of ties together. Just like the way we tell the story is pretty cool.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
All right, guys, so there you go, a little interview there. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So let me tell you my impressions right now. So what I played was basically, it was about an hour after the first hour or so, right? I'm not going to tell you any spoilers, obviously, because don't want to ruin it. But yeah, it's not what I was expecting. Like I said in the beginning, okay, you're not overpowered. You're not Chris Redfield running around with a fucking bazooka punching rocks and shit. But there is some, you get weapons. You saw that in the trailers. You get some weapons and stuff, So it was good that I got a little bit of power, but at the same time, you're still just a regular guy. So even though you have weapons in the game, the guys that you're facing off against are more than human. So, even though you have a gun, shotgun, all that other stuff, it's not exactly gonna help you. It's just it'll help you live longer, but it's not gonna kill the enemies outright. That could be frustrating if you're into old school Resident Evil where you're just murdering everything, but this is I guess it's the new, Resident Evil in that sense where you just get enough just to survive, And the game also does a lot of little things. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything that help you along the way. It's not like you get stuck or anything. I could tell you this though, if you don't know where to go on the map, it'll actually tell you, if you have the specific key or anything. So you get little things like that. But I think Capcom is on the right track with this game because think about it. The original Resident Evil was scary, right? But if you bring that now, that's not really scary anymore. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work. So you need to modernize it, but at the same time, you can't just be ripping off games like Outlast and PT. Let me just talk about PT real quick, man, because I honestly feel, I don't know if this was the impetus, but I honestly feel that Capcom saw that PT demo and they were like, yo, let's do that, but Resident Evil style. And there's a lot of little things in this game that are very Resident Evil-ish, Not gonna spoil it, but yeah, there's some ties to the main, main games that I noticed. I'm like, all right, man, this is a Resident Evil game, man. So this game's coming out late January, January. I don't have the date. I'll probably link it up there in the video. But yo, yeah, try this game, and it's in VR too, man. It's gonna be even crazier, son. Yo, this game, like I said, I was on the fence, but after I play a demo, that's it. I'm buying it, and I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're a Resident Evil fan, if you're a fan of survival horror games, get this shit. It's dope. All right, so Tony, once again from the Koalition, I'll see you around. Peace.
The Koalition.